Oh, hello, and welcome to episode 28 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby Podcast, brought to you by iSpy Surveys, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. So, the question is, what did you think of this weekend's rugby? Was it fantastic? Was it poor? Did it blow your socks off? Or could they do better? Myself and Ollie are going to be reviewing the Heineken Cup, the Challenge Cup. We'll also check in on the latest round of the Six Nations, and there were some fantastic tries scored in those games. We'll look ahead to the return of the Premiership and obviously the return of our Fantasy Rugby. Can I claw my way back into this competition? I hope so. And we'll also have a little look at the news from in and around the game. I'll stop waffling now. Let's just crack on with this podcast. How are you?
Hello, mate. How's it going? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Interesting weekend of rugby, I think, was had. Would you concur?
Yeah, and we're early on it this week, mate. Late last week and early this week.
Yes, it's always good. It's always good to be a finisher. No,
be a finisher.
Yeah, an early finish. Don't worry about it. It's a sexual innuendo joke that you clearly haven't got.
It's a bit rude for our pod, isn't it, mate?
Well, yeah, it is, to be fair. So anyway, let's talk about rugby.
Moving on.
Moving on. Where would you want to start, mate? Do you want to start a little bit of news?
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen that much news other than some coaching announcements for the British Lions.
Yes, well, that's exactly where I thought we'd start. So it looks like Gallagher Townsend is set to be named the Lions attack coach.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty decent, to be fair. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's really good, actually, mate. It's I mean, I've always really rated Gallagher Townsend personally. I think he's and obviously an attack-minded coach, and the way he's got Scotland playing more and more over the last few years. So I think it's really good. I think it's also good from. Hello.
I'm here, mate. Don't worry. Carry on. I was listening attentively to your conversation.
Sorry, I was getting some interference there, mate.
Carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see from Gatlin that he's sort of not just going with this sort of same old mix and formula that he's had in the coaching setup the last few years. He's mixing it up a bit, isn't he? So it's nice to see.
I think I also saw that Farrell was going as well, though.
Is that confirmed, is it?
Sorry, I'm just having a swig of coffee there. I don't think it's confirmed, but I think that's a bit of a rumour.
Yeah, I heard it potentially might be, other than Townsend, it might be sort of the usual
tried and tested.
Yeah, potentially Borthwick, isn't it? And for the forwards and like you say,
Farrell.
I'm getting some bad feedback today, mate.
Oh,
Can
yeah?
you hear that clicking or not?
No clicking at all, mate.
Okay, carry on.
So, do you want to start again, or?
No. Carry on, mate. Hopefully it won't sort of carry on the whole way through.
I can't hear any clicking. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's good. Gallagher Townsend on the Lions. That's good, mate. It probably means potentially that there's for once there's going to be a good number, which there should be, a good number of Scottish
boys
in the squad.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
I'm assuming. Sorry to interrupt. I'm assuming that you've not had the call. I've not had the call from Gats.
No, it's the same with Eddie for me, mate. I've sort of turned him down ongoing, if you know what I mean. I said I'll let you know if I'm ever free again, sort of thing. It's just I'm a busy guy. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I've never even had a letter or a phone call from anybody of any notable worthwhileness.
Bless him. So, Eddie needs it at the moment, doesn't he?
Well, I don't know, mate. I don't know. We'll see. So then, just another little bit of news, and it's just kind of, I think we did sort of say a few pods ago we'd have a bit of a Saracens watch to see how they're kind of getting on in the championship.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw my Twitter feed when I saw the Saracens team announcement of like eight internationals in their starting lineup, something ridiculous like that. So let's have a quick look. Maitland, Vunipola, Mako and Billy, Vincent Koch, Itoji, Jamie George. I'm pretty sure Elliot Daly was playing. Obviously, Lewington was also in there. So, I mean, they've pretty much gone full bore on this one because I think they're around third or fourth in the league at the moment. And they surprisingly came out on top. 54-13.
Quite well on top, yeah. Which you'd
quite well on top, really, yeah. So, and I've also heard that Mark McCall's calling back Nick Tompkins from the Scarlets. I think he's pretty much calling everybody back. He's going, lads, let's get everybody back. I think Good's going to be coming back, obviously, from Japan when that's all over.
Well, I think that was planned anyway. I think Tompkins is the only one that's coming back. He's coming back early, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's also calling early back Ben Earl.
Oh, is it? I haven't heard that's early. I just heard because they're all out on 1 year loans, aren't they? I've just heard that he's just confirmed that they are all going to return next season. But I might have misunderstood that. But
no, mate. Look, you're the oracle. It's probably more likely that I've misunderstood it and just thought he's rallying the troops for a final, push to get them back in the Prem. Maybe I've misunderstood that. Maybe it's a case of he's meaning for next season.
I think that's how I understood it when I saw it. That it's just he's basically confirming, so there's no uncertainty that when their agreed loan periods end, they'll definitely be returning for next season. But that probably suggests that he knows, or must have some sort of knowledge that's pretty certain that they're going to be back in the Prem, isn't it? So you never know what's going on behind the scenes there. But
no, absolutely.
I would have thought that's what it suggests because those guys otherwise potentially be extending their loans further, wouldn't they? But
well, yeah, absolutely, yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's just leave the news there. There is a piece of news that I'll come back to, but that'll be a bit more explained when we get to that point. Where do you want to go, mate? Should we go Heineken Cup?
Yeah, I don't mind, mate. I don't mind. Good. Good
starting point.
It's a bit of a mix in the Heineken Cup, wasn't it? It's another good weekend of rugby, but probably not overall, not quite as good as the last 16 round, was it?
No, and I definitely agree with that one. I think so. Obviously, in the Heineken Cup, we've kind of said that we're only going to really focus on the two English sides. So I just want to. There's a bit about Chiefs I want to talk about. I'm not too bothered about. Well, I am bothered about Sale, but I'm not too fussed about the in-depthness of this one because I didn't get a chance to kind of see it other than the highlights.
They got beat up, didn't they? They got beat up.
Well, let's just start with Sale. Basically, Sale went to La Rochelle.
Yep.
Got beaten up. Didn't have a plan B. Game over. La Rochelle go through.
Yeah, it's kind of. I found it a bit of a surprised, but not surprised as well. I mean, you not surprised in as much as La Rochelle have got that in them, that physicality and able to sort of beat up other teams like that. But you surprised as in how well they did it against Sale, because obviously Sale have been in quite a good run of form and are a very physical side when they want to be as well, isn't it? But yeah, only one team in that definitely, which was a shame. But I think that's again. Like I can't remember which fixture, probably the Leinster Toulon last year. It's probably the right result anyway as far as the competition, isn't it? Because Sale have probably come to the end of the road as far as they have, but they have come to the end of the road.
Yeah,
but they're mixing with the big guns now, isn't it?
Well, that's just it. And I think what I took away from it was the fact. I mean, to be fair to Sale, they were in the game at about half time, but it was a late kind of try by them just before the end of half time, and it was 18-16 to La Rochelle. So you kind of think, all right, they're going to come back out, bit of a momentum shift. Let's see them get back into this game. I mean, La Rochelle are just a bunch of, they're just huge. Their pack's massive. They got the skill, they got the talent, and obviously ran away with it. But I think it's just very interesting. You think back to like the likes of Saracens and the likes of Leicester in the good old days. Not too sure about Bath. I don't think they've ever.
Can't remember about Leicester that far back.
Anyway, but the point that I was going to make is that you have to lose competitions at quarterfinal stages, at semi-final stages, at final stages to become the team that earns the right to be the champions in the future. If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
100%, mate. Totally agree. It's all about sort of building experience, isn't it? But and
Yeah.
saying what we said about Sale, that sort of end of the road. There's no disrespect to Sale. They've got a quality side, obviously, but
Yeah.
they're in a obviously new coach Sanderson. They're in a sort of transition building, and they're going in the right way. But like you say, it's just a learning experience, isn't it? Europe's a completely different competition, and they'll take a lot away from getting to the quarterfinal at the end of the day, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's always going to be positives, even though there's, obviously it's quite a big negative. But I guess also, like we said last week, similarly, with like, yeah, I can't say the word. It's basically they can now focus on the Premiership. They're looking to get top 4. They're probably looking to get into the final.
Yeah,
that's going to be that's the focus now. So yeah, but I mean, I just although I only watched the highlights, I just could not get over the size of La Rochelle and the ability of their forwards and the skill set that they had. It was pretty immense.
I think that's. I know it's not the same for all of the teams in the top 14, but generally that just seems to be quite a big difference between the top 14 as a competition and the Premiership, isn't it? Just the size and physicality. Obviously, the Premiership is a very physical competition, but just player for player, man for man, just seems to be the next level almost, isn't it? With some of the top 14, especially in the packs. But anyway,
absolutely. So let's park that one there. Let's move on to Exeter Chiefs. And
what a shame.
Firstly, what a shame. Absolutely. Shame for them, especially when they got off to such a flying start.
Yep.
And I did text you at the point and said, I don't like this. It's too easy. And lo and behold, Leinster got back into the competition. Very similar to the game last week Exeter had, but the complete role reversal, where they were behind and then they came back. What were your kind of thoughts on the game? I think Baxter was sort of saying after the game that there was just... what was the quote he said? I think it was along the lines of I can't remember, but they just were doing uncharacteristic things again.
Yeah, it was a shame. I say it was a shame because it was just sad. I felt disappointed for Exeter, because it's just it felt like after last week's game they stuttered a bit at the beginning, but then they just sort of got their momentum. And generally, as their season, like we said before, this is the sort of time of the season where the guys who are going to be competing for the competitions and the trophies start to build their momentum, isn't it? And I just thought, I know Chiefs have had a couple of what you would say is unusual defeats and results, and not had the dominance that they had last season, even though they did obviously stutter on a few last season. But this time, the difference is, I think this time last season, they were just unbeatable, weren't they? I don't think, well, obviously they did. They won the double, but basically anyone they came up against, they were going to win, wasn't it? It was almost a level of inevitability about it, wasn't it? But yeah, that's the disappointing bit, because you just could see. I felt the big moment in the game for me, anyway. I think it was around about this, just these sort of early 60 minutes. They were 9 points behind Leinster, but they were building that momentum that Chiefs do, and you were thinking, okay, they're coming back now, and they were working their way up the pitch as they do. They were in the Leinster 22. They got onto the 5 metre. They were doing the rolling mauls, and you were thinking, okay, yeah, here we go. This is Chiefs coming back doing what Chiefs do, isn't it? But but Leinster held them out, and Chiefs. The big difference I thought at that moment was last season there was just 100% control and inevitability with the rolling maul moves, and on the 5 metre line it was just, you just knew there would be, however many phases it goes through, there was going to be a try at the end of it. They looked almost panicky, sort of lost with a bit of direction, which is just so un-Chiefs like. And then Leinster turned them over, cleared away. It was a crap clearance, so you thought, okay, a turnover, you've been let off with a crap turnover, crap clearance. It was only on sort of 22 metre line, so you're still a line out, attacking line out in a really strong position. But then they lost the line out. It was at that point I just thought, that's it. This game's gone. It's Leinster. And it just felt from that moment on, it was just all Leinster the last 20 minutes, wasn't it? It was just dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it, it is disappointing for Chiefs, obviously defending champions. Not many teams kind of go back to back and do the double. I think only, just to name a few, Toulon, Toulouse, Tigers, and maybe a couple and Saracens, but more importantly, Tigers.
I genuinely don't remember that one.
Well, you wouldn't, would you? It was when all the greats were there, mate.
I focus on the recent times, mate. Recent times.
Yeah, of course you do. But yeah, they just look like they're off the game. And I'm going to sound like a complete arsehole for saying this, because I know everybody loves Sam Simmonds. I love Sam Simmonds. I think he's a fantastic player. Robbie Henshaw described this game as close to international rugby as you could possibly get. I don't think Sam Simmonds played particularly well. Don't get me wrong, everybody's allowed their off days. I get that. But I'm just wondering if that's what Eddie Jones is why Eddie Jones doesn't necessarily select him for England, because he hasn't quite got it at that top level. When you look at that Irish team, that Leinster team, they are pretty much... It's an international pack, isn't it? They've all played for Ireland?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be an arsehole.
It sounds a little bit like you are, I'll be honest. It sounds like
no, I'm not.
Bit of an arsehole.
But I just noticed it.
I hope whoever listens to this is a massive Sam Simmonds fan and you get a load of grief.
I've literally just said that I am a Sam Simmonds fan and I absolutely love him. And I genuinely believe he should be an England team. But I just noticed, I just wondered what you thought. Mate, you can certainly say to me, mate, what the f*** are you talking about? You're talking shit. But I think if your hand on your heart, you might just say, actually, mate, yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one.
Yeah, what I'm going to say is I don't disagree, but I would say rather than singling out maybe individual players, it's, at the end of the day, the whole team weren't on it. In comparison to the sort of dominance that they had last season, wasn't it? I think the big difference, personally, was it's a team game, isn't it? It's a team game. We all know that.
Yeah.
The individual and therefore the team performance was not at the level that they were at this time last year, and I think that it was almost like Leinster were at the level that Chiefs were at last year. And I don't think any team would have beaten Leinster in that game last week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is where Chiefs were last season, isn't it? It doesn't matter who you coming up against, even if you go a couple of tries down, you back them to win it, sort of thing. And Leinster just
yeah. I get where you're coming
from.
But
I think I know what you mean. And you're bound to pick out things like that. I would actually say potentially inexperience at halfbacks was an issue. Potential issue for Chiefs as well, but in particular maybe number 9. I don't think Maunda had a particularly good game.
Yep.
And if you think who you had there last year, a very experienced international of Nick White, I think if you had him in the team this weekend, that potentially would have made a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But it's all here. It's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a team game.
Like I said. Just to caveat what I said right at the start, I absolutely love Sam Simmonds. I genuinely believe he should be in the England team.
Yeah, and it was the same with Jack Maunda. He's a fantastic player, but it's I know what you're saying, because it's obviously when the team performance is down, you look at individuals as well, isn't it, and think, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the problem for Sam Simmonds in his defence is the levels he's sort of set for himself, scoring 1 or 2 or more tries every single game. And if he doesn't score a try, everyone's like, oh, it's a crap game. But is it actually a crap game? Or do you know what I mean? But
I don't. Again, I'm just trying to make sure nobody comes at me now. I didn't say the crap game. I just noticed that he wasn't as good as he normally is, and I think what you've kind of said is absolutely right. I do agree. Now we've kind of talked out.
Okay, yeah. The week, Gareth says Sam Simmonds had a crap game. For the record,
edit that one out. No, don't really. And just the other interesting fact that I wanted to note, I noticed being a prop forward, well, a former. He started with Moon and Francis, and obviously Williams and Hepburn on the bench. I wonder why he did that.
Only backstory name, mate. I sort of noticed that as well. But he does rotate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other guys came on for a good. I can't remember exactly, but normally it's sort of around the 50-minute mark. He brings his front row replacements on anyway, isn't it? But yeah,
Yeah.
don't know, mate. Don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Chiefs were
Again,
beaten by the better team, weren't they? Leinster were outstanding. You can't take any credit away from them, and they lost. They lost their talisman, so to speak, at number 10. On was it about 20 minutes?
28 minutes.
Yeah. So
but then sorry, mate. Go on.
what are you going to say? The replacement was.
Well, I was going to say the replacement is probably
yeah.
not too bad. He's probably actually even better and probably should be the front runner, to be fair. But
well, not yeah. To be fair, Sexton's had a good Six Nations, isn't he? So he's proven that you can still do it at his age. But no, in a big game like that, though, to lose someone of his leadership and experience is potentially game over, isn't it? Especially when you're 2 tries down and all the rest of it, isn't it? So just the overall, it's just a fantastic result for Leinster, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, credit where it's due. Go on.
I was just going to say, I know we're not doing predictions for Europe or whatever, but you because we've not got a European weekend next weekend, but you'd be probably a brave man to back against Leinster to go the distance now, I would have thought. But
I like it. Be brave, mate. But no, I probably agree with you on that one. Yeah, so I think it's going to be another learning curve for Exeter, and no doubt they'll come back. But as you said, there are no English teams left in the competition now. So
yeah, I think on the learning, mate, it's like you said with the Sale, isn't it? It's on a different level, but Chiefs have done nothing but learn on every defeat they've had, and they've Premiership final losses, and a few of them before they won, and the same with the Heineken Cup, but gradually getting further and further in the competition to win it last year. They've never attempted to back up the Heineken Cup, have they? So
no, exactly.
It's a learning curve this season, isn't it? But if they're back in this position again next season, you'd put your money on Chiefs not slipping up again, wouldn't you? But
yeah,
like you say, it's all experience, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So let's just move on to the Challenge Cup. Obviously, Friday night, your boys against the Irish. I think you obviously backed them. I backed Irish.
Foolish.
Yes. Well, it turned out to be quite foolish. 19-10 to Bath at half time. So again, Bath off to a flyer. Final score 26-13. I think Will Stewart looks bloody amazing again. He played really well.
He's on good form, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on good form. Did Bailey go off injured? Yeah, he did, didn't he? So Red Bath spent most of the game at 10. I think Bath did a better job than they did against Irish the last time they played. I mean, obviously because they won. The try from Kokinasinga was a good try. Was it Kokinasinga?
Yep.
When Falatau did the break, no, it wasn't. He's not showing up on the old score sheet, so maybe it wasn't Kokinasinga. But I mean, that breakout by Mercer and then Toby Falatau, that little chip, and then retaining play, spinning the ball wide. Bloody hell, that was a good try.
Yeah, mate. That's I'm not getting too carried away, but it was a good performance. It was a good performance, and like you say, some of the big name guys really stood up, which was good to see. Will Stewart, like you said, is on very good form. I think the last 2-3 games in particular, he's playing some of the best rugby I've ever seen him play. Back row, Mercer and Falatau were standout, weren't they? Mercer got man of the match, I think, didn't he? So, showing everything they can do, him and Falatau. Some of the backs. Spencer's on getting back into good form anyway. And I thought,
he looked well.
Watson, I say he stood up this week more than last week. I thought he had a bit of an uncharacteristically shaky game for him last week, but that might potentially, like I say, a bit of a getting back into the club after Six Nations hangover type thing, isn't it? But looking fairly good, but not getting too carried away, mate. It's,
no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
A good result for Bath this season is obviously getting into top 6 in the Prem and potentially challenge
reaching
for
the
top
final
four
and
if they get a
losing.
really good run, but
Never going to happen.
It's got more chance than the Tigers, surely.
Not so sure.
And then, whatever happens in Europe, isn't it? If you get to the final, that would be great. I mean, at the end of the day, for Leicester and Bath, it's the only chance of silverware, isn't it? So going for the Challenge Cup is probably a good shout for both of those clubs, isn't it?
Well, you say it's the only chance of silverware for
well,
both of them.
I would back Bath to
disagree.
potentially get to top four, but I don't realistically see them then beating either Chiefs or Bristol, whereas Tigers won't even be getting to top four. So Challenge Cup is their only chance, isn't it?
Oh, what a fool! Anyway, so are you happy with what we've sort of said about Bath there? Just what the last kind of question I want to go to on Bath, Orlando
Yep.
Brady. Do they protect him a little bit?
Yeah, they do.
In the fact that Spencer's kicking, because he's a kicker as well, isn't he? I don't know much about him, so I'm going to the man with the knowledge.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's he's sort of as close to what you would say is complete number 10. But yeah, they're totally easing him in, which is I think that's we did sort of discuss it before. It's slightly in two minds, but at this level and the age he is, it's probably the right approach, especially when you got someone like Spencer with the capabilities of Spencer at 9, where he can he's a very good kicker, from the base of the rucks and mauls and whatever, and goal kicking as well, isn't it? So so I think it's probably the right way. The sad thing is now whether he's going to be out at all, because he obviously went off didn't come back from an HIA, did he? So
no. So is that not like does that because he failed that HIA? Does that mean he's literally off for 3 weeks?
No, I don't.
If concussion protocol.
I think it depends on the sort of diagnosis, doesn't it? I think the minimum is they've got to take 5 or 6 days out of any contact training, I think, isn't it? But potentially then back into it, but that probably makes them a question mark for next weekend, I would have thought.
Yeah, which obviously is going to be an interesting match we'll discuss
later. It's a 5-point victory for Bath, whoever plays, really, isn't it?
Okay.
Moving on.
So anyway, let's moving on to the other quarterfinal: Leicester Tigers versus Newcastle Falcons. Never in doubt. It was scrappy. Don't get me wrong; it was a scrappy game. But when you look at Tigers, 2 for Potter. He's not called Harry Potter, is he? Yeah, he is called Harry Potter, isn't he? That's it. Yeah, he did laugh when he went over and Austin Healey went, "There's a touch of magic." That made me chuckle. And then I do like Maroney in the centre. I think he's a bloody good centre. Argentinian Maroney, isn't he? Maroney.
Is it INI or ONI? Anyway,
yeah. So he played well. But what I like most is the fact that Leicester got 2 penalty tries from basically up the jumper, the gritty stuff, the
boring
tough
old
stuff.
Leicester of old.
Boring. What, mate? That's rugby for the purists. It's battle time. 8 guys kicking it the shit out of it.
They ain't got the capability to do anything else. Good.
But you can't say that because we clearly scored 3 tries through the back.
No, to be fair, I didn't actually, because I didn't get to watch it. So here we go. I didn't get to watch it. But what I didn't realise is it wasn't by anywhere near a full strength side, was it?
No.
So that actually makes it an even sort of better, stronger result for Tigers, because Newcastle were, I would say, sort of a lot closer to full strength, or as close as they can be, I would have thought at the moment. But yeah, Tigers sort of rested. I know obviously that a lot of the what you would consider as starters were filling up the bench and came on, didn't they? But
well, let's just look at this realistically. You had Wise on the bench, Lavanini on the bench, Cole, Youngs, Genge, Ford, and that's it. In terms of international talent, I mean that's some serious. That bench is fully loaded to come on. Oh no, Kelly's a Scottish. No, is it? No, Scott's a Scottish international, isn't he? Former. So that's a heavily loaded bench with serious quality to be bringing on, isn't it? And to be fair to Newcastle, I don't think they stood much of a chance, really.
Well, no, I mean, not if you're behind when those guys come on the pitch, is it? So,
come on,
if they're Tigers are chasing the game, then you stand in a chance. But they were already sort of
up against it.
Tigers were already well in the lead with the team that they started with, isn't it? So good result, mate. Good result.
Yeah. Very good result, I think. Very good result. I'm very, very happy with what I saw. Very happy with what Borthwick's doing. And he doesn't need to change much. So then the other quarterfinal was Northampton Saints against Ulster, and pretty close affair. Ends up 35-27. Northampton Saints were actually 22-14 up at half time. Oh, I think Saints threw this one away, to be fair.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Ulster are a quality side. They've got a lot, Stockdale was playing, Cooney was playing. They've got experience in the Heineken. They're a decent team, but I think there was a point where Northampton had two guys in the bin quite early on. Ezekiel went off after 9 minutes into the bin. Matavesi went off after 11, and then Ribbons went off after 23 minutes. So there's a period of substantial time there where they were pretty much down to, can't do the math, 12 men. Maybe not 12, maybe kind of 13. One goes off, one comes on. But they were still in the lead at half time, and they just kind of seemed to. I wonder if the experience of Ulster just kind of took over and took the game away from them, really.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, to be honest, mate. I think we actually predicted Ulster. Ulster.
I think I went Saints. I think so, mate.
I went Ulster because I was thinking they've got a bit more, a bit more recent European experience, so I thought that might come through. And I'm not saying I know everything, but it did actually feel like that, didn't it? I thought, because it was Northampton Saints, like you say, they started, especially first half, they played some really good rugby, but it sort of, once it got close and closer towards the end of the game, you just always thought it all felt like Ulster were going to win it. It was they were looking stronger and stronger, whereas Northampton were looking a bit shakier and shakier, sort of thing, wasn't it? But
yeah, definitely.
So they're a good outfit.
So
I like Ulster, especially the halfbacks, isn't it? I think I said that last week. Cooney and Burns, isn't it?
You did, but Cooney and Burns,
when they're on fire, they're pretty useful side.
Pretty decent, to be fair. So it does make an interesting semi-final situation. I don't want to talk about it too much because we can talk about it when it actually comes around. But Tigers and Bath have managed to avoid each other in the semi-final. So, and luckily we're both at home. And Tigers have got Ulster. Bath have obviously got Montpellier. So it's going to be an I've said it on Twitter. I would just love to see a final between Bath and Leicester. I think that'd be brilliant. And if fans are allowed back into the stadium, we are freaking there wherever it is.
Yeah,
we're going, because that'd be fantastic.
Pretty awesome, especially as they're the English teams flying the flag for the Premiership, aren't they? With no one left in the Heineken now, so it would just be great, mate. It'd be great. Obviously,
one to look forward to. Definitely
black and white day, but it'd be good experience for you, even though you get to see your team beaten by Bath again. But if that happens, but it's a good day out, isn't it? It's a good day.
Well, it's always good. It's always a good day out, especially when we win. So I think that pretty much wraps up Europe. I think, not the great sort of situation for some English teams, but better for others.
Yeah, just to wrap up as well, I know we're not covering them, and probably a good thing. I think that I didn't actually watch any of the games on Sunday that were the all French affair in the other two quarters, but from what I've read and looking at the reviews and that, it's pretty dull games. Just, I don't think there was a try scored in either, was there? It was just all.
No, I've definitely heard that the Bordeaux Racing
penalties only.
Yeah, literally penalties
I
only,
think that
no
was the same
tries.
for the Toulouse game as
So,
well.
yeah, no tries at all. So pretty glad I gave that both of them a miss, really. So let's move on. Second round of the Women's Six Nations. England were over in Padova, I think it was, in Italy. And ultimately, England came away with a victory, scoring 67 points to 3. But I think the important thing to kind of note about this game was the fact that England had made a lot of changes to their team from last week's victory over Scotland. And it just seemed to take them a while to kind of, new players coming in, gelling into the structure that was there. Although obviously I know they should know the structure, it wasn't quite clicking. And Italy came out kind of all guns a blazing, and England were kind of doing a lot of defensive work. But having said that, they did score 2 tries on the counter, so they did go into half time at 17-3 up. And then the second half, the kind of floodgates opened. England got really into the rhythm, and they scored a lot more tries in the second half. There were a couple of yellow cards. Emily Scarrett got a yellow card after 33 minutes for a bit of a high tackle. And then a couple of the Italian ladies, the scrum half on 53 and the prop on 69. So that would have had, and that was kind of around, when England were really in their pomp in that second half and kind of coming through. So it was I don't think they would have necessarily been happy with the performance to begin with, but the end product ultimately was the result that they wanted. And now they go into the, they'll be in the final, basically.
Yeah, they are in the final, aren't they? They're the first team to be named, I think, aren't they? But just can't. Nothing really more to add, mate. That's a very good review there, Gareth.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been practicing.
They certainly stuttered was the best way in the first half, isn't it? And like you say, that you definitely put that down to a massive mix-up in the selection, isn't it? So benefit of the doubt, just a bit of lack of continuity or whatever, isn't it? Like you say. So, but put it right in the second half. And fair play to Italy to have a crack as well, wouldn't it, absolutely. In the first half? So.
Yeah, definitely. They look quite good, Italy, to be fair. But it's just, I guess they're going to be disappointed as well that they in the second half they shipped so many points, because they were in that game up until half time. They looked decent, to be fair. So, moving on, Ireland's first game of the competition away in Wales. Ireland came out on top 45-0. Half time they were 31-0 up. And I think it was Parsons, the winger. Her 2 tries were pretty special. One in particular was pretty ridiculous. Considine was also, she got a couple of tries, and her tries were quite nicely finished off as well. I think Ireland are going to. I feel sorry for Wales. I mean, it looks like in the second half that Wales kind of got more into the game and only conceded 14 points, 2 more tries. But they just don't look like they've got much kind of structure, or I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if Wales are missing a few players, which would make a difference. But they've not had a particularly good start to the tournament at all, really. I think they've sort of shipped, it must be about 90 points or so in the 2 games, which is disappointing for them. But just watching that Ireland game, my God, it's going to be a humdinger when Ireland play France next week.
Nice to see, isn't it? Because we were saying out of the first round, there's only two teams in it, isn't it? But Ireland have put their hat in the ring, haven't they now? So 3 teams in it now. But I'd say I didn't get to watch that one live, mate, but I've seen the highlight. It's just some fantastic tries, isn't it? Some seriously good run in rugby. It's lovely to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really, really good to watch. But the news point that I spoke about earlier, which is a bit of a worry now, going to my source and font of all knowledge outside of you, the BBC. The Irish RFU is seeking clarification from the Irish government about Saturday's Women's Six Nations game in Dublin with France, about to be added to Ireland's mandatory hotel quarantine list. So what does this mean? So the rule comes into effect for French visitors to Ireland on Thursday, but it's not yet clear whether it will affect the Donnybrook game. So the Irish RFU have been in contact with the Department of Sport seeking clarification. An Irish rugby spokesperson said to the BBC, the new rule concerning travel between Ireland and France could also potentially affect Leinster's away European Championship semi-final against La Rochelle on the weekend of the 30th. So under the new government rules, France will be added to the list of countries from where travellers will have to quarantine in a hotel for 10 days minimum. What the hell?
That's the first I've heard of that, but just don't know, mate. I thought what's it called? Sort of elite sports, because it's played under a sort of bubble environment that maybe they don't have to sort of run to the same rules as the sort of general public with hotel quarantine like that. But things like that when they have to do that. But maybe they do. But yeah, you would have thought, being an elite sport and the bubble, it's behind closed doors and all the rest of it, that as long as they're not going out, when Leinster go over there and they're not going out. Well, if France are in lockdown anyway, so they can't really go out.
Not going out for waffles.
Yeah, they can't go out for waffles anyway. But and vice versa with the French women's international team coming over to Ireland, as long as they're doing as they should be and just staying in their hotel bubble, training, go to the game, then back to the airport and home again, sort of thing. Then it's
not too much else.
To me, anyway, it seems sort of low
should
risk.
Be okay. But then it's also saying one possible option is it moves to Kingspan in Belfast. So I don't know what geography's got to do with it, or is that just because it's a different part of Ireland maybe and there's different rules?
Yeah, well, it will be because one's EU and one's UK, isn't it? So Northern Southern Ireland, isn't it?
Okay.
But don't ask me what the difference in the rules are, because I don't follow the COVID regs closely, mate.
No, that's fine. But I just didn't quite understand what that was all about. So thank you for, as always, your
that's only
clearing
assuming, mate, because it's different. I mean, even within the UK, sort of different rules between the UK nations, isn't it? But
yeah, no, mate, didn't like I said, I didn't even think of that one. That does kind of make sense now. So that's cool. I'm happy with that. I'll take that one. So that rounds up the Six Nations. Really, really good start for both England and Ireland.
England into the final.
Interesting conclusion. Definitely. If we can win that one, that'd be back to back, which would be good. A lot like Leicester of old. Anyway, so Gallagher Premiership is back next week. Let's start Friday night predictions. London Irish are over at Northampton.
Saints for me.
Yeah, I was going to go Saints, mate, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with Saints, but I might change my mind once I see the teams that are named.
Yeah, true. It's one of those, isn't it? It could sort of be very close and could go either way, but
either way.
Feel on form, I would say Saints. I think Irish will be hurting from having the pants pulled down against Bath last weekend. So,
yep, that's fair. So moves us on to Saturday. Gloucester are going to Sale.
Sale.
Yeah. Sale, but only just. I think Gloucester could put in a good performance, but not many people go to the AJ Bell, do they, and come away with much.
I think Sanderson's going to be gunning for that second position in the Premiership now. Home semi-final.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Bristol at Newcastle. Now, normally I would say Newcastle because it's at Kingston Park.
Bristol.
And I just think always at home they're good. But I've done that so many times lately and completely got that wrong. So this will be the 1 week I go for Bristol and they lose. But I'm going for Bristol.
Agreed. They're gunning for the Premiership title, aren't they? So they ain't going to want to lose that first spot now, I don't think. Keep that gap as much as they can between them and Chiefs. Isn't it?
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree. Bristol for that one. Worcester are away at Harlequins. There's only one way that's going, mate, and that's Harlequins. I can't see that
sadly,
being any different, really. And I could see
to discuss on that. I don't think, is it?
No, unfortunately not. And then, mate, the closer I'm getting to talk about Sunday's game, I'm like getting even excited now. Anyway, but we've got one more first. Wasps at Chiefs. Chiefs are going to want to bounce back, but Wasps had a good game against La Rochelle.
Yep. It's at Sandy Park, isn't it? I think personally, it's not necessarily going to be a walkover, but I think Chiefs are going to get it. I'm really interested actually to see how Chiefs go now, because that could be a real sort of morale blow, losing to Leinster. So it'll be really interesting to see how Baxter can get the boys, to
pick them back up.
They'll want to at least get the Premiership now, won't they? But it'd be good. And I wouldn't back against them not to do it, because we know Chiefs and we know Baxter and the squad they've got. But it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And I think is it top 3 sides as it stands are all out of Europe as well, isn't it? So they've all just got focus on the Premiership.
Yeah. So that literally.
Well, top 4 actually. Quinn's 4th at the moment.
Quinn's are 4th at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, top 4. You're absolutely right. They're all out of Europe. So yeah, they haven't got the Premiership to kind of focus on. So,
really,
Wasps for me. Yeah, it. Why not? Yeah, I think Chiefs might take a couple of weeks to get back onto form. Wasps had a really good game against La Rochelle, had a week off. I think Wasps might just catch him on this one and just take it. I'm not saying it's going to be a runaway. I just think it could be 6 points, 9 points maximum victory for Wasps.
I think personally there's too much.
All right, fair play.
They've got too much to play for now, whereas Wasps don't really have anything to play for this season. They can't get relegated, and
but that's short.
Actually, top 6 is a little way off. I think they're about 9 points short of 6th position. So obviously it's mathematically possible, but it's a big ask, isn't it? But...
Yeah, no, it's fair enough, mate. Well, we can't agree on everything, and we're certainly not going to agree on the Sunday game, are we? The big one at Bath, which makes it interesting, are my Tigers against your Bath.
Yeah.
Well, there's no predictions, really, is it? Tigers are going to win, in my opinion. You're going to say that Bath are going to win, in your opinion. And let's just hope it's a cracking game and Tigers come out on top.
Yeah, apart from the last bit, obviously, Bath come off on top.
It'll probably be a draw. It's going to be a good game. All
it's got the
mine and your
potential
banter
to be
side.
A really good game. Isn't it?
It's got to be the game of this weekend coming up. Definitely
be interesting. I think
the grunts
if you look at the packs, the Bath pack seem to be getting sort of working their way back to their sort of top form and strength and dominance. So that's a tough ask for the Leicester pack, but the Leicester pack have been building similar, haven't they?
I just said
the only thing I would say I think is sort of experience. Bath have probably got the nudge, haven't they?
Fair enough.
But you've got because you've got sort of a fairly large contingent of the new South African boys and stuff, isn't it? Which obviously are doing really well, but actual Premiership experience and even international experience, the rest of it, isn't it? So halfbacks is my concern, because we might not have a 10 at the end of the day, and you've got arguably the best 10 in the league. So, you didn't think he'll play?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Well, because they've got so much strength and depth. Muck Phillips is a really good player.
But he's not George Ford,
played really well against...
There's a big gap. George Ford and Zach Henry and McPhillips are cracking players, but in reality, as it stands right now, George Ford is a long way ahead of them, especially when you get to your big games. And this is Leicester's biggest game for years.
No, that would be when we play you in the final of the Challenge Cup. I don't know, mate. I just think Borthwick's got a different philosophy. I think he, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he brings back all the people that were on the bench last week. That even might have been his plan why they were on the bench, to keep them fresher, to kick your boys' ass.
In the hope. But that's going to fail miserably, unfortunately.
No,
that'll be Borthwick's inexperience.
I don't know, mate.
isn't it?
Well, compared to Hooper's.
That decision, that's what I mean.
No, I know what you mean, mate. I'm only teasing. So yeah, I'm obviously going Tigers. You're going for Bath. It'll be a draw, and there'll be about 7 yellow cards and 2 red cards, and that'll be it.
If Lavini's playing, there'll definitely be a red card.
That's it, I think. Oh, there was one couple of questions. How's things going on Instagram? Are you rattling up a few more listeners? Mate, getting on okay? Viral.
Yeah, it's going all right, mate. It's going all right. Building gradually, slowly, catchy, slowly, monkey and all that. Doing all right, mate. Better than you were doing on anyway.
Yeah. And absolutely, mate. But then I exploded on Twitter over the last couple of weekends, getting comments from Benjamin Kaiser, likes from Maggie Alfonsi, comments from Maggie Alfonsi, likes from Vicky Fleetwood, Marley Packer, Andy Good. Mate, I couldn't believe it.
Get them on as a guest on our pod, mate.
Absolutely. I'm already tapping Maggie Alfonsi up, mate. I'm hoping that she'll get on. No, I'm not really. I ain't got the guts to do that. Dear Maggie, we're a pretty ropey podcast about rugby. Do you fancy coming on, having a chat? No, it'd be cool. But it's really cool that we're getting out and about, and people are starting to, well, the 16 listeners that listen is fantastic, and we're happy about that, so that's cool. Anyway, listen, I will let you get on. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, and we'll Fantasy Rugby, obviously. Just be standard week of me beating you again.
Sorry, mate. You
say no more. Say no more.
You love chucking that one in, didn't you? Well, I think I won the last round.
Yeah,
only
did.
just.
You did, to be fair.
Maybe by 10 or 20
I
points.
remember, actually, mate. It seems like ages ago now, doesn't it, with the European?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, absolutely. But yeah, now I've got a few tricks I'm going to have to play this weekend, hopefully. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Good luck, sir.
Friday night. Who's going for what? Thank you very much.
Right, I got to go.
I need it. All right, mate.
Cheers,
no worries.
Mate.
We'll see you again soon. Take it
Bye.
easy. That was episode 28. Thank you once again for choosing to listen to our podcast, for downloading, for subscribing. It really does mean a lot to us that you do choose to listen to us each week. We'll be back once again next week with the latest round of the Gallagher Premiership. Some really interesting encounters, none other than the game between Bath, Ollie's team, and Leicester Tigers, my team. There's only one way that's going to go, and that's a Tigers victory. The latest round of the Six Nations. No Red Roses this weekend, but there's still going to be some captivating games, especially the game between Ireland and France. We'll obviously check in on the news, and if there is any Allianz Premier 15 games, we will also review those. We're available on all major sort of platforms, ranging from Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. So go over there, give us a check out. Ollie is tearing it up on Instagram at the moment. He has kind of gathered a few more followers. I've been tearing things up on Twitter, getting responses from various people to my tweets. Just to mention a few: Maggie Alfonsi, Vicky Fleetwood from the ladies' game, Benjamin Gazer, just a couple more. Maybe Andy Good also dropped a little one on there as well. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch up again with you next week.